Across universities, students walk into lectures carrying laptops, notebooks, and dreams for the future. On paper, many students look like they have everything together. So it might be good grades, scholarships, leadership roles, and ambitious career paths. But behind those accomplishments is often a different reality. Late nights, exhaustion, and self-doubt. Many students who appear confident and successful are silently battling pressure, burnout, and the fear of not being enough. This week on Common Ground, we explore the gap between how success appears on paper and how it actually feels in real life. Because sometimes the people who seem the most put together are the ones that are carrying the heaviest weight. I'm your host, Danielle Mullings. Let's find Common Ground. Now, before we go any further, we actually asked young people to submit videos where they explain to us what kind of pressures they feel as students. Let's go to them.
What does success on the outside look like to me? Success on the outside, it looks like achievements, getting that degree, getting that promotion, getting that raise. It also looks like financial stability or wealth, recognition and status. It's the measurable goals, the things that are tangible, measurable, comparable, right? While success on the inside, it's more of a feeling, like a sense of pride in you achieving your goals, or a sense of relief, peace, contentment, right? So it's like, oh, I finally did it. I finally got to this point where I managed to achieve this goal or this thing that I've been working so hard and so long for. So it's that relief that comes with it. So while success on the outside is tangible, you can see it, you can feel it, you can measure it, you can compare it with others. While success on the inside is a feeling that you get. It's the relief or the release from finally achieving these goals.
I think university students face lots of pressures, especially trying to balance the life of being a student as well as the party life. I think that's the biggest pressure being fun. Because after several activities for individual students doing, so you might favor up sports, you might take off leaves, you might actually even just become an ambassador of something. So there's just always something going on. I think that's the biggest thing, as well as trying to fit in. You have states where it's like a melting pot there for some from different regions, international students, and you're trying to seek a straighter standards for yourself, so that kind of becomes a bit hard because you want to build a reputation and look good, and you see other person accomplishing certain things, so that can also be a pressure that you're faced with as well. And I said before, I think getting what need banners in that party lifestyle, because you see everybody going out, you want to have a good time. We also have an assignment be the next day, we start prioritizing. I think a great reason why we need it is probably weekend schedule with organizing yourself. So what I personally do is make a timetable. So I try to be practical. Definitely have to have my parties here, I have to have my sports in, my games in. So what I try to do is incorporate these short goals, set up my timetable where I have my classes, my study sessions, and you know that's the main rule why we're at university. This kind of where did I mean to start?
I think for me, success looks like different things on the outside. It looks like status, it looks like achievement and stability. But I think on the inside is where you feel the real success, whether it's positive or negative. Positive in a sense, you feel fulfilled, you feel satisfied, you feel happy. And I think for other people, you feel resentment, you feel anxiety. Because it depends, because someone can look successful but not be successful. It really depends on how you achieve that success, or if you were forced into achieving it, like pushing yourself to do something that you never really wanted to do, but you still came out on top. That's where the resentment comes from. But it really depends on person, because I think success is something you personally feel.
Personally, I think university students face homesickness for sure. And how we could combat it, in the best way possible, is to make your own family at viewing, to make friends, and to just have your sense of home away from home.
You've heard directly from students about the pressures that they feel to keep it all together, even when they don't exactly feel that. Stay tuned for more from Common Ground. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to Common Ground. I'm your host, Danielle Mullings. Now, before the break, we were hearing from young people about the pressures that they face as students. We're now joined by Miss Kayla Graham, who is the Block G representative, Angels of Genesis on UEMONA, right? On Irving Hall, I should say. Well, Kayla, it's a pleasure to have you here. How are you feeling?
Pleasure to be here. It's great to be here.
So I want to hear from you, right? Even before being a Block rep, what has your own experience been like with pressure as a student, maybe even coming from high school? Okay.
So without the leadership roles, there is still a lot of pressure placed on students. So there is pressure to keep up with academic workload, there's pressure with social life, the mental stress of being a student, along with other stuff.
So have you ever felt like, you had to look okay and keep it all together even when you weren't?
Yes, definitely. There are lots of times when I was not okay and I had to, or I told myself or compelled myself that I had to be there for my girls, to do what was expected of me.
Now, in your role, you interact with a lot of different students on, the Angels of Genesis block. What are some of the things that people are dealing with that others may not realize?
Okay, so I feel as if for university students, it is very hard, especially since a lot of them, they're being apart from their families for the very first time. So there is an adjustment gap between then and right now. And there is also the issue of there's pressure from your family members because they're expecting you to do good. And also there is the pressure that we put on ourselves. So yeah, that's what they're dealing with.
And you mentioned that pressure from the family. And, maybe I think it's over like 70% of the population on campus is actually a first generation student, the first in their family to meet that. Like, what kind of pressure does that look like?
That's a lot of pressure, seeing that your family members are depending on you to do well. So even if you're trying to slack off, you can't slack off. Yeah.
And you're representing your family and a whole community in a sense. Now, why do you think we feel like we have to maintain this image of having everything together? Like, where does that pressure to always have it together come from?
Okay, so I believe it comes from different sources. So social media presents this facade, or it paints this image that you're supposed to be a certain way. And that really puts a toll on us as students as we try to imitate that. Also, family pressure, as I mentioned before. So you don't want to mess up, or you don't want to seem as if this is bothering you when your family is depending on you to do so.
Nice. So coming from different structures there.
Yeah.
So what are some signs you've seen that a student is overwhelmed, even if they don't say it? Like, what can parents or maybe guardians who are watching this, what are some signs they can look out for?
Okay. Well, Danielle, it's not easy to tell when somebody is overworked because persons manifest stress in different ways. So persons may become quiet or reserved, and some person may throw themselves into work. That's why it's important to be constantly checking in to see where their head is at.
I like that point around each person is going to react differently. So you want to make sure that you're checking in and being active to ask those questions. And I guess as well, why do you think students sometimes feel like they can't share that they're not doing okay? Like, what prevents us from saying that?
Okay. So even with leadership roles, for example, the very moment you express vulnerability, it is equated to being incompetent, like you can't do your job. So I feel like there's stigma around being vulnerable.
And so maybe we also have a role then as young people to say, like, be also checking in with each other, one. And if somebody says that they're not feeling okay, being willing to say, you know what, I can be the shoulder that you lean on today.
Yeah.
All right. Have you seen any situations where, students have just pushed themselves too far? Like, what happens?
Yeah, and it leads to academic burnout. There where they give up their rest, they change their eating habits, and they sacrifice their mental health just to stay on top of schoolwork.
Wow. And what do you think for yourself as well? How have you been able to balance so much? Because you're, a student, of course you have your leadership positions and maybe doing other things as well. How have you been able to balance all of that?
Well, I think in terms of balance, what I've really tried to do is redefine it, not doing everything perfectly, but like prioritizing where I put my energy and trying to do whatever I put my energy into at the best of my ability.
Nice. Okay. And last thing, so that's how you cope in terms of being able to balance. How have you seen other students maybe cope? And are these coping mechanisms healthy?
Okay, so I've seen both healthy and unhealthy coping mechanisms. And in terms of healthy, you would see them take walks along Ring Road. They'd be in the common area laughing with each other. And in terms of the unhealthy ones, I think we need to promote healthy coping mechanisms, as the unhealthy coping mechanisms are not sustainable.
Thank you so much, Kayla. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be right back after the break with more Common Ground. Welcome back to Common Ground. I'm your host, Daniel Mullings. Now we're continuing this conversation with Kayla Graham, who is the Block G representative on Irving Hall, about how students can really cope with the pressures that we face. Now, the next question we'll get into is, when a student is struggling, Kayla, what does real support look like, whether from family, friends, or even the administration on campus?
Okay. So on a block level, real support really comes from your sisters or your brothers that are a part of your sorority or fraternity, or even within the Irving Hall community. And sometimes they don't even know what you're going through. It's just that they have this environment, or they create this environment that is nurturing and really supportive.
So what kind of programs or events have you put on to help the students?
Okay, so there is TGIF, that is Thank Genesis. It's Friday, and we meet on Friday as it's in TGIF, and we have bonding sessions, we watch movies, we play games. So it kind of creates that atmosphere where you're free to offload. Yeah.
And what do you think so far has been your favorite moment as being a block rep who is helping students navigate this campus experience?
Okay, my favorite moment.
Yes.
That's a hard question. I feel we had a jacket ceremony recently where I gave the ladies their jacket because they were new GIs, and it was just really a proud moment to see how far they have come from the very first moment that I met them. So
wow.
That was
and
good.
To be a part of that journey.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So do you think that students know where to go for help, or is that still a gap? Are there any places on campus that you'd recommend persons can go to?
Okay, so UMONA has a counseling unit. However, I feel like they know where to go. It's just that there is a lot of stigma attached to seeking help regarding mental health. So that kind of intimidates them or turns them away from going there.
And personally for you, what's one small habit or change that has helped you personally manage the pressures of campus life?
Okay, so whenever it gets too hard or whenever I feel overwhelmed, I would step away and I would go and then come back, because sometimes we just need to reset and then get some new perspective on what is happening and then come back and sort it out.
That makes sense. And I feel like there will be moments during student life where you feel like you're behind.
Yes.
Or you can't catch a break. Like, how do you deal with those sorts of moments? What are some, ways that you've been able to manage that?
Okay, so as you said, there are moments like that, and I kind of created this checklist where I would outline what I have done and what I need to do. And whenever I check off something, dopamine levels go sky high. So that would give me motivation to finish the rest of stuff that I have to do.
I like that. And I think everybody approaches it differently. So nice to know one way is you have your little checklist and you can tick things off as you move through. Okay. What would you say to someone who feels like they're the only one who's struggling?
Okay. So this is often said, but you're not alone. And there are a lot of persons or a lot of avenues that you can tap into to get help. There is a counseling unit on UMONA. There are also SSDMs on each hall and resident advisors that you can go to and talk to.
Okay. And as you've been able to, grow over the past year, lead these young women who are on your block, how have you been able to redefine what success is beyond grades, beyond accomplishments, but just as a human being?
Okay. So to me, success really means being happy with the version of you that exists right now and the version of you that you want to achieve. So not just accomplishments or what you have so far, but who you are now and who you want to be.
Has anyone in your life inspired that kind of philosophy or kept you going?
Yes, my mother.
Your mother, what kind of stuff has she said to you? What kind of inspiration has she given you?
She's really taught me that no matter where you start from, it doesn't matter where you start from. It's where you're going and what you do to get there.
Nice. All right. And my final question to you, if you could speak directly to every student who has felt like they have to stay strong, to be successful or have to appear strong all the time, what message would you want them to hear today?
Okay. So when you're struggling, that doesn't mean that that's a weakness. It just means that there are a lot of hurdles in your way and that you need to remember that there is a candle at the end of each tunnel. So you'll get through it.
Thank you so much,
You're
Kayla.
welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been with us for a very interesting episode today as we explore how young people can navigate the pressures of campus life, being a student who's navigating grades and that sort of pressure coming in there. But you've heard that you don't have to look strong all the time. You don't have to feel like you have to have everything all together every single day. We can learn to kind of break down each moment one by one and figure out what is most important for you right now. Take breaks when you need to, and also don't be afraid to rely on others, whether it's your friends, the counseling unit, or the administrators who are around you. So thank you so much for joining us on this week of Common Ground. We'll be back next week. Stay tuned.